All right, check. Let's go. Let's jump right into it. This is going to be about the second half of the NBA season and a little more NBA talk. And this is part of the season I'm super excited about in regards to what the expectations, what the expectations are in regard in seeing who's going to be the contenders and who's going to be the pretenders coming up in this next part of the season and going into the playoffs. This is my favorite part of the season because this is the time I actually start diving into basketball. Usually the first half of the season, I let it kind of, I just kind of observe a little bit, see what everybody's doing because I know everybody isn't playing as hard as they can because they're trying to maintain, trying to stay healthy and trying to trying to pretty much run a marathon essentially to get to this point in the season where now they're gonna see go about ramping up and making their teams better to get them prepared for the playoffs. I know that because this is the time this year in between, right after All Star break to right before the playoffs is when the team really kind of gels and gets their chemistry down, gets all their injury, gets everybody healthy enough to where they're ready to play and compete in the playoffs. But before I get into that, I'm gonna get into the All Star game and All Star weekend in general. Because I haven't done a video since probably the Super Bowl when I had my Super Bowl outlook. So let's jump right into the All Star game. Well, as far as All Star game, man, we all know it was pretty whack. It was. It is what it is. It was whack, and there's nothing. I don't think there's much you can do about it because it all comes down to how much the players are willing to compete, and that's the kind of the big deal. Is the competition level. And if they don't want to compete, then it's not going to be good. If nobody wants to compete in the dunk contest, it's not going to be good. If all the best shooters don't want to compete in this 3 point contest, it's not going to be as good. But I think the NBA has something to do with that as well, as far as just they're trying to do so many things to make it better, as for quote unquote better, when all they have to do is just kind of keep it simple, make it comfortable for them to play maximum, put somewhat maximum effort. They're not going to give maximum effort, but they're going to let it to where they could be somewhat competitive, such as, for example, in an actual All Star game itself, they should a let them wear their regular home and away jerseys as they did in 2001, as they did in I think in '97, and they actually had good All Star games playing because they felt like I think it was a comfort level to that. It was like, okay, we're wearing our regular jerseys and we can we're comfortable in our regular jerseys, so it feels like it's a regular game. It could feel like it's a regular game, but we're playing against all the best players in the league at this time. So I think that would be a good thing to do, to be a good start as far as just getting them comfortable. And also, I think it should just go. The format should be back to East and West, to where they're playing with their conference people, the guys that they've been playing against for the most part of the year. That'll be a good thing instead of doing this weird draft. You saw how that went. I didn't think it was. I mean, some people thought it was pretty cool. I didn't think it was cool because and then they try to pick all the starters last, and knowing they're the best players on the team. They never and you see how Jokic didn't want to be picked last because that's just like verbal, man. Nobody, I ain't trying to get picked last under no circumstance. Even him, he's a foreign player. He's like, nah, I ain't getting picked last. You ain't picking me last. Don't do me like that. And he's a humble dude. He's like, nah, don't pick me last. Let's not do that. Stop. So that's how he feels. See if he feels like that, then that's that maybe it's not even worth it to do a draft. Let's just pick who's on the East, who's on the West. We don't nobody. There's no uncertainty going into the game. And then that's that. So they just need to make it simple, make it to where the players feel comfortable, and then hope for the best as far as in and let the and kind of make sure the right guys are playing in the All Star game. Some guys aren't All Star game type guys. There's some guys are regular season guys that don't really care for the All Star game too much. So just kind of try to make it to where you got the right mix of guys as well. But then again, sometimes the fans got to play a part in that as well. So maybe you got to put the guys out there that the fans want to see, and kind of just hope for the best because there's a lot of different reasons why the All Star game is gonna be it's kind of whack. It's not just because the players, because the NBA, how the NBA does it, the fans have a part in it as well with who they want to get in the All Star game. So those are all the things that factor into it. Now, as far as just the weekend itself, better players needed to compete in the dunk contest. You know, I mean, Matt McClung did his thing. However, you know, it was a one man show. So when it's a one man show, you know, it's cool. But you know, you need other guys competing against you. Like, and a lot of people say, oh yeah, the Vince Carter one was kind of a one man show. But I mean, he had Tracy McGrady and Steve Francis actually trying to doing some good dunks. It was just that Vince was that much better than everybody that he just kind of outshined everybody. But he still had some other people dunking with him, dunking very well with them. I mean, I guess you could say Trey Murphy had some good dunks, but I mean, it was clear, you know, in the beginning that it was going to be Matt McClung's show after like 2 dunks at least that he was going to pretty much run the show for the rest of the competition. I think that kind of brought it down a little bit, but he did his thing. I'll give him that. 3-point contest, same thing. I think they're just doing too much with it. Making these extra, giving them extra balls and stuff like that. Because it's just everything. The skill competition too. It was just like they're doing too much. You know, just keep it simple. Like keep all the events simple, and that's what the NFL did. The NFL in the Pro Bowl, they kept it simple. They said, you know what? Let's make it flag football instead of doing tackle. Let's do flag. We're gonna do flag football, and then from there, then kind of go from there, and it actually worked out for me personally. I like flag football because I played flag football as a kid, and you know, and it looked like it made them comfortable because they're like, okay, we're not hitting each other, taking that element out of the game where we don't need to hit each other, we don't have to wear these pads, you know, and because football players are comfortable playing football with no pads. You know, ultimately, they may not ultimately want to do that because that kind of decreases the intensity level a little bit, but it increases the comfort level to where once we were playing with no pads and they were playing flag, it looked like they were having fun. And then they wanted to play kind of hard and actually wanted to get those touchdowns because it's actually, and you can see them, and you can tell it just kind of made them feel comfortable playing. So it goes back to comfort level. You know, they do that same thing with the All-Star game, just increase the comfort level to where they feel like they're playing a normal game as close as possible, and it's the same format, 4 quarters. Then they'll play a little bit better. That's just my opinion, you know. But you know, I think it's worth a shot. In the next one coming up, when it's in Indiana, where you know it just makes perfect sense. And then they can wear the East and West jerseys or the home and away jerseys, East and West, because I mean, and if you notice about the All-Star game, that the jerseys that they wear represent the city that they're actually in. So they kind of incorporate that jersey design into the pretty much that city, that team that's in that city. And I'm already looking at the Indiana jersey and knowing if they incorporate that city, and it ain't gonna be good because the Utah one was real bad. So in my opinion, that's just my opinion. I ain't like those All-Star game jerseys, but this would be the perfect one to actually pilot, going back to the East and West, wear your home and away jerseys. So that's what I would do. I'm not in the front office of the NBA, but hopefully they watch this video and they try to incorporate some of that stuff into the All-Star game. But let's get off of that. You know, it is what it is on that. But let's go get straight into the second half of the season. So again, I'm excited. I like all the moves that happened in the West. Those are there was some big moves, that are going to help some teams get to where they need to get to compete for a championship. And yeah, it's gonna be a bloodbath in the West. I love it. I love it. I really do. I like where it's heading. So let's get straight into it. I think let's talk about the best team right now not in the NBA, but in the West. Denver Nuggets. They got to win the championship this year. Jokic has to win a championship this year because he's a front runner from his 3rd straight MVP. Think about when you have 3 straight MVPs. Like, it's one thing to have like 3 MVPs throughout your career, but you know, that's one thing, and that's a big deal too. But he's about to do a back to back 3 straight. I don't think even LeBron's done that. I'm not sure, but Actually, maybe he has, but Jokic, yeah, if he gets 3 straight MVPs and not have one at least the finals, he got to at least make the finals, in my opinion. To where it's like there's something's wrong in Denver. Whether it's I don't know, I don't think it's him. I think it's just maybe the team around him, injuries, something has to get figured out for him to win 3 straight MVPs and not have a finals appearance. So it's important for them to have a deep playoff run. They got the pieces to do it, even though they don't necessarily have a quote unquote second superstar. I don't think they really need one. It's a team game, and then when it comes, especially when it comes to the playoffs will come down to how well your team plays, not really how many superstars you have. We learned that in the bubble, but if your team is playing well, like he has the pieces he has a point guard, he has a solid 2 guard, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jamal Murray. Like I said, he's gonna have to step up and be what he was in the bubble to help him out. Michael Porter Jr. had to step up and and unlock his potential. Aaron Gordon has to keep doing what he's been doing all season, and and Jokic just has to be Jokic, and then they got a good shot, And then if all those things happen, I think they're gonna go deep in the playoffs. But they gotta their depth is gonna probably be an issue, But if they keep the number 1 seed, it should be good for them because you got to go play in that altitude. So they got a home court advantage on top of a home court advantage, in a sense. So that's going to be interesting to see if all those things come together for Denver. For Memphis, I think that they have talent. They have a lot of talent. They got a little experience last year and it got a little taste of the playoffs last year. And now it's just and they got Ja. Ja has to keep doing Ja things and be consistent. They got Desmond Bain, they got Jaren Jackson Jr. They got Dylan Brooks. They got pieces. They got a little depth. They got nice pieces, and they just gotta just put it all together, as well. Because they kind of had a little slump going into the All-Star break, so that's gonna be kind of the issue with them is can they put it all together and continue and have a big run and get far in the playoffs because all the other teams in the West have proved it right in front of their eyes, and they can't. They gotta make it happen. So when Ja was talking about I'm good in the West, I don't know, man. So we gonna see. I know he gonna say yeah we still good. That's just that's these kids these days. They say either I'm the best or like Anthony Edwards, I'm the best player in the NBA, like he said the other day. Ja like I'm good in the West. They be talking, you know what I'm saying, but they gotta put that out on the table. People be talking all the time. I know it's about these young boys. They be talking confident, but when it's time to show and prove, that's when we got to see. That's when things get interesting. So yeah, they got to prove it this year. They got far enough last year to where if anything less than the Western Conference Finals is a bust for them. So they got to get it done. The Kings. I think that they overachieved in the first half of the season. I think because that's the thing about the young teams. The young teams play well. The young up and coming teams, I'll say, young up and coming teams always tend to play well in the first half of the season because a lot of the older teams they're not playing as hard because they know it's not. They just got to stay afloat until the second half of the season. And that's when they ramp it up and start playing good basketball. So that's what the Kings kind of took advantage of that part of the season to where they're looking good. They're in the third spot. Kind of been plateauing a little bit because, like I said, the older teams are starting to pick it up a little bit. And now in the second half of the season, it's going to really get down to the nitty gritty, and then it's going to get to the point where they might not. They're going to be like the 6th seed to keep playing because they're going to be the competition level is going to go up. So it's going to be interesting how they handle everything. They got a solid core. They got a solid team. We got De'Aaron Fox. Got Sabonis. Got guys playing well. You got Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes. So just a solid team. And I'm happy for them because they need to get to the playoffs. It's been a while since the Kings been to the playoffs. So if they get to the playoffs with without being in the play-in, that'd be a big deal. And I think they will. they'll at least be a top 6 team, just based on how they started. So this is gonna be interesting to see how they do. The Clippers, man, they did. I'm happy with the moves that they made going into the deadline, because it's one of the teams that were more aggressive in the trade deadline and in the buyout market. They picked up Bones Highland, which is a good pickup. They picked up Eric Gordon, which is another good pickup for them. He played well in the first couple games he got out there. Being kind of another shooter and then also another a ball handler. Towards and late in the game, and I like him being one of their main ball handlers late in the game. Take some pressure off PG and Kawhi. And they got Mason Plumlee. They needed a second big, and they got a big that's familiar with Jokic. Who they can put on Jokic later in the playoffs if they run into him. Just keep some pressure on him. And and then the big move was in the buyout and picking up Russ. And the thing about this move is that when it first happened, when the bomb first dropped, that the Clippers are gonna bring Russ in. I kind of didn't like it, because I thought they really don't need what Russ brings to the table a little bit. I think but I was getting caught up in the kind of what happened with LA, and not factoring in that it was kind of a bad fit in LA, because they already had, because all the things that he does, all the positive things he does, he already had somebody that covered those bases, which was LeBron. And so you can't really cover LeBron's bases, or else it ain't gonna work. So with him, I thought it was like, I thought it maybe, and also kind of he can be a turnover prone, and and they need somebody to help close the game out. So I mean, it's gonna be kind of interesting how they handle that. But as I thought about it, I think it's actually gonna work. I think it's gonna be a good move. He's gonna be highly motivated, because he gets to play in LA still, and he has opportunity to kind of prove himself to the city. I think he's gonna be motivated to do that with the Clippers, and it's gonna be less pressure on him because he has PG and Kawhi, and he has a lot of depth around him, a lot of shooters around him, to where they can maximize his skill set. They need somebody that actually attacks the basket the way he does. It's just a matter of can he make his jump shots. If he can do that, it's just really good. It's going to come down to, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, they're not going to have any spacing. They're going to be sagging off of him and doing and letting him shoot the ball." So if he can make his shots when he's open, and make teams say, "You know what, we have to guard him now," because he's making his shots. He seems more comfortable with the Clippers. Then they're gonna be a huge problem. I think they're gonna be a huge problem going into the playoffs, because they're gonna ramp it up right now. This is time where Kawhi's gonna ramp it up. I'm excited to see that. He's one of my favorite players, and he's gonna ramp it up. PG's hopefully he's gonna ramp it up as well, and step his game up. They need him to step up, and if they want to have a deep playoff run, and the team is deep. They got what they need. I think they got to prove it. They got to prove that they can win a championship, because the championship with the Clippers would be huge for the NBA. It'll be huge for them. It'll just be a big deal. It won't be huge for the fans. I don't know how many fans are going to go to the parade if they win the championship, but it'll be a big deal. Regardless, nobody can deny it'll be a big deal if the Clippers can pull off a championship run this year. So we'll see how that goes. After that, it'll be Phoenix. It's going to be Phoenix, and Phoenix also made some big moves that I'm excited about. KD is another one of my favorite players, and granted, some of the decisions he made, as far as just him moving around, been kind of questionable. Him going to Brooklyn and how everything went there, and then him, and also even him going to Golden State. I felt like he didn't need to go there to win a championship. I felt like he could have won at OKC, but he decided he wanted to go to Golden State and get a couple of them, and I'm proud of him for it. But I think he could have. He didn't need to do that. He's too good, for him to need that good of a team around him to win. But that's what he wants. He wants to have a super team around him. He has one to have like a lot of guys he can count on. And it worked out for him going to Phoenix, being with Devin Booker, and Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. So they got a solid little nucleus right there that can actually make a big run. But it remains to be seen how they mesh those guys in, because at least them and the Clippers and other teams they're pretty much essentially gotta pretty much unlock all this chemistry in the next 20, 22 or 23 or so games. It's gonna be interesting to see it. But I feel like they're gonna be a threat. They're gonna move up in the standings. I'm pretty confident in that. So they're gonna have a lot of pressure on them to win because KD needs to prove that he can win without without the Warriors. But I mean, I don't think it's gonna be it would be as impactful as if he would have won in Brooklyn. But it'll be nice to see him win. So I think it's more pressure on Chris Paul to win because I feel like it's for the last 3 years actually. It's been like kind of a legacy thing for him to win a championship. He made the finals a couple years ago, and they played in the semis and got knocked out last year, so he's had his opportunities. He had plenty of opportunities. I can even go to Houston when he got hurt one year, and then they folded like a tent in the year before. The year after that, in Houston, and then Lob City, won when they lost that 3-1 lead. So it was like he's had his opportunities with good teams to get the job done. But nobody wants to talk about that, though. Everybody wants to talk, especially with the Clippers. Nobody ever wants to talk about how he came up short with the Clippers, because they're all going to talk about because they got Kawhi and PG over there now, so they're just pretty much putting all that Clipper pressure on to them because they play for him. But really, let's look back when Chris Paul was there and what happened. When they had Blake and DeAndre and they had a solid team around them and they couldn't quite get it done. But nobody wants to talk about that because Chris Paul, he's the point guard and he's all this and that, which he is. He's a Hall of Fame player. But let's keep it fair. Let's not put everything on him and throw everything on Kawhi, who's actually done it, who's actually won in Toronto and San Antonio and got Finals MVPs to back it up. And yet you guys want to put all this pressure saying, oh, he has to prove it. He has to do all this and that and this and that. He doesn't really have to do nothing. I mean, he's not really a whole lot of pressure on him versus as it is on Russell and PG to win. They haven't won yet. But they're saying, oh, because he's the best player. So everybody just always like to put pressure on Kawhi, and they try to say, oh, nobody puts pressure on him. Yeah, no, people put plenty of pressure on Kawhi. Plenty of pressure. I guarantee you that. It's just BS. When I listen to people talk about Kawhi and his accolades, they like to forget about some of the accolades, like forget about his 2-time defensive player of the years and his and all defensive teams, and then they try to say his points and look at he doesn't average. He only averages 18 points in his career, or 19 points. Like, it doesn't matter, man. He's a big impact in winning. From the day he came in the league, he's been a big impact on winning on every team he's played, and so I get it that when he doesn't play is a problem because his teams aren't winning as much. That's the issue, is that his teams aren't winning as much when he's not on the floor. I get that. That makes sense. But when he's on the court, he's one of the best players in the game. Nobody can deny that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody kind of glosses over that. They just want to get into the negatives of him not playing, or him not averaging, having crazy 50-point games that like these other players have, and then that end up coming short in the playoffs. Those type of guys. But when he comes in the playoffs, he's top 5 in the game. Let's keep it a buck. But y'all don't want to talk about that, But that's a different topic for another day. I'll let it go for now. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of disparity in that conversation. So, but moving on, KD does need to. It'll be nice if KD gets it done, but Chris Paul needs to get it done. This year. I think he has all the pieces he needs. He has a superstar. The Phoenix has a superstar they need because D Book he's just a star. When he got up against the superstar in Luka last year, he couldn't get it done because he couldn't outshine that superstar in the Game 7. So they needed another guy to go with them, and they got that guy in KD. So they have what they need to win a championship, in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes with them and kind of go from there. And I think the 6th seed right now is let me check. Oh yeah, it's Dallas. I was thinking Minnesota for some reason, but no, it's definitely Dallas. And Dallas is definitely one of the teams that needs to get it done. And I wouldn't say they necessarily need to get it done because they made some moves to get Kyrie to go with Luka, and I think it's a good backcourt. Kyrie can go ISO, and Luka, and it kind of helps Luka not feel like he has to do everything, but I think he's so, used to doing everything that he's he's gonna have a bit of an adjustment issue. So it depends on see how that works out. But it's nice to see, he can give it to Kyrie and kind of let Kyrie do his thing, because Luka, in all honesty, he has many things he's good at on offense, as far as just getting the strip, as far as facilitating and being the top scorer. When he has the ball in his hands, and when he has the ball outside of his hands, he has some problems. I think he just kind of stands around a little bit and doesn't really kind of move the defense around and make himself open and make it easier for his teammates to kind of do their thing. So I think that's going to play a part in what happens, because once he gets the ball out of his hands, they're gonna pressure Kyrie. They're gonna start double teaming Kyrie and kind of and clogging things up that way. So he's gonna have to improve. I think he has to improve that a little bit in that department to kind of make himself more, kind of find ways to make himself open, or make him and just move without the ball, get the defense moving around a little bit to where or either open up Kyrie and when he attacks, or he just opens himself up to where he has where he gets better looks and better opportunities in the game. So I think he needs to improve on that. But it'll be cool to see them get far. But because of their size and their defense, later once they get to the playoffs, it's going to get exposed. That's usually the time when everything kind of slows down, and then your size. If you don't have a whole lot of size, and you don't have a lot of defenders, then it usually means you're gonna be out of the playoffs pretty early, second round at the minimum. But so I think they don't quite have enough yet, even though they got two superstars. They don't have enough yet to where they can, because like I said, it's like in the bubble. You can have superstars you want, but if one of them ain't playing up to their level, then what do you have? You're pretty much just like any other team. Just like the Clippers and the Nuggets in the bubble. Like they have superstars, but if one of them is consistently not playing well, and the other one is, it's just trying to carry it, yeah, of course he's gonna have a bad game, because he's been carrying them the whole time, because the other superstar ain't carrying his weight. People want to talk about that either, but I'm trying not to get into this conversation with people, because I can go all day on just pretty much the BS that people be talking about Kawhi. Outside of him missing games and being hurt, and actually having a reason to be missing games. But I can like I said, I can go all day on it and piss people off, because they know I'm right. Because I state all those facts, but but still, they couldn't get done. They lost 3-1 lead because they didn't have their second star wasn't consistent enough, and the other team who had a team that was playing better beat them with the one superstar. They had one superstar, and they had a team that around them that actually all played well. Jamal Murray showed up and played like a star, and his teammates made shots, and they won. That's just how it goes in the NBA. Let people act like it's a shock, that they lost that lead, but it's really not to me. I was like, well, they not playing good basketball, and that's what happens. And especially in that environment when you don't want to be, it all just kind of comes together. But that's another topic. I keep getting off topic a little bit, but yeah, Dallas needs to. I'm not putting that much pressure on Dallas to win it all, but they're gonna make some noise. I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to gel and get Luka and Kyrie on the same page, and then they're gonna try to make a run. So I'm gonna stop at the top six, because all the other teams, I think, they're kind of sitting in that play-in status, and then so they're gonna figure all that out. But I will bring up the Lakers, because we gotta talk Lakers, because there's so many Laker fans, and they made some good moves. They definitely improved their roster in the trade deadline, bringing in D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley. So they brought what they needed, which is more shooting, and a guy that can do the dirty work, so AD doesn't have to do the dirty work and get hurt. They kind of fixed their roster that way, and got Russ out of there. Got Bev Bev out of there. Kind of lighten their load a little bit. So it's gonna be interesting to see if the Lakers can move up in the play-in to at least to where they're a play-in team, and then if they can get that 8th seed or even the 7th seed, they're gonna do some damage. I think they can give those two teams problems. They can give the top two teams problems if they meet Memphis or or Denver in the first round. I think they'll give them some problems, and then it's gonna get real interesting. Because everybody gonna be, oh no, LeBron's gonna be the 7th or 8th seed, and he's gonna make it to the finals type stuff. Watch, it's gonna go crazy. I already know if they figure out a way to get there, and then they beat one of those teams in the first round, it's gonna go nuts. I already know how it's gonna go if that happens. But they got an opportunity to do that though. They have, I think the moves they made improved their team. It gives LeBron an opportunity to kind of do what he does best and be more of a facilitator. If everything's working well, if the shooters are making their shots, AD's playing like the best player on the team. He can kind of be that second best player on the team as well as kind of the point forward, getting the shooters the ball, getting everybody and keeping everybody involved while making shots when he needs to. That's kind of ideal role for him. He shouldn't have to need to carry the load. He's done so much in his career. He's an all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. He's done so much. I think at this point, at 38 years old, man, it'll be great for him to kind of get back to his comfort zone and just be a facilitator and then make shots make timely shots. If he can get back to that, then I think that's the best case scenario for the Lakers, and they can make some noise and get up there in the play in, maybe get to the 6th seed if they play well enough, and everybody's healthy enough. But I predict they're gonna get in the play in, and then they're gonna probably beat the teams that they play in the play in, and then they're gonna get into the second round, get in the first round, and give those top 2 teams a problem, whichever one they face. So that's what I'm expecting for the Lakers. They're gonna do their thing. I'm pretty sure. I'll be surprised if they don't make a run. But we'll see how it goes going into the second half of the season. Now, let's get to the East, and the East is pretty much. I look at the East at this point as really 3 teams that are gonna represent the East, because it's more cut and dry in the East, in my opinion. We can talk about we can talk about Cleveland. I think they're a little bit too young for this year, for the run this year, but they can make some noise. They're going to be in the playoffs. They might be able to beat the second round, but I don't know if they're going to do too much. They got good pieces. They got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. They got Mobley, and they're gonna be there. They're gonna make some noise, but I don't know about them. But as far as winning a championship, I don't know if they're gonna be. They got those expectations. New York, same thing. They got. They made some improvements from last year. Jalen Brunson. They got Julius Randle. RJ Barrett has to step up, and be that third guy, but I don't see that happen. I think they're trying to move him, and they should have just but I don't know why they didn't just let him go when they had a chance to get Donovan Mitchell. But that's a whole nother thing. They could have. Then they would have been a dangerous team. And then they see what happened with Cleveland when they added Donovan Mitchell. Now they're a dangerous team. So, and they didn't want to give up RJ Barrett. They thought he was going to take that next step, but he's not. So, I bet they're kicking their teeth on that. But they're gonna be in the playoffs, but I don't know. But they might be out in the first round, depending on who they match up with. Because the playoffs is all about matchups, and if they match up with the wrong team going in the first round, they might be out. So whether they're the higher or the lower seed, they're just going to drop in the standings because they're both their superstars, and they're just pretty much depending on their young guys to kind of do their thing. So they're not. I think they're gonna drop probably to the play in, and then they're gonna come across to one of the top teams and not do anything. I'll say the Heat. They're going to try to make a run at it, but I think they're getting kind of old and banged up, because they're pretty much the conference didn't improve. The younger teams are better now, and they're just kind of the same team they were in the bubble, essentially. So everybody's caught up with them, and so I don't think they're going to do too much. So yeah, it really comes down to the top 3 teams, which is Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly, as the teams that are going to represent the East and the Eastern Conference. And I think that the Boston is the best team in pretty. I don't know about the NBA. I might as well. Right, at this point, they're the best team in the NBA. They got the deepest team. Their 2 superstars are playing well. Or you can say one superstar and the other one's is a star on the verge of being. And can but I don't know if he can carry the team. Like he can't. I don't know if he'll be able to carry the load while the other superstar's out. So I would say he's kind of a star. And Jaylen Brown and superstar and Jason Tatum, because he's been playing superstar basketball all season. They got the deepest team, between them and the Clippers at this point, I would say those are two deepest teams in the NBA. But they've been playing together longer. They haven't been making too many changes to where, like unlike the Clippers, they're just kind of doing musical chairs, adding Russ and trading, letting go and trading a lot of guys to kind of get to where they're at right now. But the Celtics have been playing together. They went to the finals last year with this team, so I would say they're the best team in the NBA. We got a lot to prove. They got to win the championship. They can't. When you go to the finals, the next year you got to win it all. That's the expectation. So they got to win it all. Jason Tatum has to have a good playoff run in order for them to do that. Because I know they're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to be the 1 or 2 seed at the minimum. So they just got to just get it done in the playoffs. It's really that simple for them. As far as the Philly, I'll say it's very important that they get it done. They have a lot going into this season. Joel Embiid's playing like an MVP. I thought he should have won it last year, but you can go either way with him and Jokic, and they went with Jokic. So in this year he's playing like an MVP again, but because Jokic is averaging a triple double, they're gonna probably look at Jokic, and then he's actually his team's the best in the West. So they're like, yeah, well, we might have to give it to him a third time, so he might not win it again this year, but he just has to get it done though. But as far as the playoffs, he always kind of comes up short in the playoffs. Since when he'll just have a great regular season and does his thing, everybody think, oh yeah, he's gonna dominate. But then that playoff pressure comes around, and then it kind of just changes a little bit. So he has to kind of embrace that pressure a little bit more and step his game up. Because he'll always be sick, or he'll have just an off night when at the wrong time, and then his team will lose in the first round, the second round, and to a team that shouldn't lose to. So he just has to step up and get it done in that game. So we'll see how it goes with him. James Harden has to win. He needs it for his legacy. He has the regular season stuff, but the playoff he's been coming up short in the playoffs his whole career. So I think it's important for him to kind of have a good playoff run and at least get to the finals again and win it all. Because the championship would be huge for his legacy. He'd probably be a top 20 player in the history of the game if it'll be no question. If he can win the championship, put a championship trophy in his mantle. So I think it's very important for him for his contract situation, because he took a pay cut so they can bring some guys in, and so he has to get it done. This year. Because he's gonna be his money's gonna start getting messed up. He's gonna probably end up going back to Houston, go to Houston and get back with the strip team, and then just kind of riding off in the sunset like that if he can't win. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out for Philly. Milwaukee, they won a couple years ago, so there's not as much pressure on them as the other two teams. But in order for them to compete for a championship, Giannis has to be healthy. He busted up his wrist, so hopefully his wrist gets better and he can go out there and play. And then, but wrist industry is kind of an issue. It can mess off your shooting timing, can mess up your ball handling. And it just psychologically, you just don't want to be as aggressive as you want to be when your wrist is kind of out of order. And then also Chris Middleton got to be healthy as well when they start playing the better teams. Once the playoffs come around, they need him healthy, so that's going to be key. And they just got to get it done. They just want if they want it's more Giannis' legacy. It's more adding on to his legacy, because his legacy is somewhat solidified. He's the best player in the game at the moment, in my opinion. So he just needs to step up and get it done, and then it'll just kind of just solidify his legacy, having 2 championships, an MVP to go along with it, being seen as the best player in the game. It'll just be a good look for him if he can pull off a championship run. So but then not as much pressure. I wouldn't say there's too much pressure on them to win it all, as much as it is for Philly and the Celtics. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll be healthy enough to where they'll be in the playoffs ready to go, and then they'll be able to compete. Because that's what I want to see. I want to see these teams compete and make it happen and get matched up, and get some good matches. I don't want to see no bad matchups. I don't want to see the Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers play, because that's a bad matchup for Dallas. Teams like that. The teams that don't link up, don't match up well, because the Clippers are gonna they just don't. They just got everything. They just got so many wings they can just throw at Luka and put on Kyrie that they don't got enough size to where they can take advantage of that. And then vice versa with the Clippers, they don't like playing playing the Nuggets because of Jokic. They don't got the big man to kind of go after Jokic on the offensive end. Because that's the key to him is you got to be able to attack him on the other end to where he's not as effective on the offensive end on his end because he's so worried about playing defense and pretty much getting attacked on defense. He's like, okay, I can't. He's gonna be more of a passer. He's not gonna be as aggressive as he is on the other end. But that's so I feel like if they meet each other, it's gonna be interesting to see if the Clippers can overcome that. So I feel like that's a bad matchup. And I would say in the East, I would say the Celtics are a bad matchup for Philly. So and if but they're gonna have to meet probably in the East Finals. I think it's gonna be in my humble opinion, it's gonna be the Clippers and the Suns in the West Finals. Let's say meet in the second round somehow, or it's gonna be the Clippers or the Nuggets, the Clippers or the Suns in the West Finals. I think the Clippers are gonna figure it out and make it to the West Finals this year again, and it's gonna be the Nuggets or the Suns unless either of those teams meet in the second round. It depends. We'll see. But I think those are the three teams that are going to come out the West, and then in the East it's going to be the Celtics and the Sixers. I think Embiid is going to show out in the playoffs this year and try to get his team to the mountaintop. Could be the Bucks easily. If it's the Bucks, it'll be you'll know if it's Phoenix. In the Nuggets, I can see that happening as well. But those are kind of the three teams that kind of stick out to me as far as going to be the cream of the crop because they got all the vets and they got guys that are proven that have proven playoff runs that are going to take it to another level. And that's just wishful thinking. As long as nobody's hurt, hopefully nobody's hurt. Either way. And I'm surprised I didn't even mention the Warriors, and they're the champions. They're the champs, and I just don't feel like they have it this year. I think they got their championship. And I think they're comfortable with winning their championship with Clay, Draymond, and Steph late in their career. But they've just been dealing with a lot of injuries and a lot of chemistry issues this year. So I don't think they're gonna. I think they might be they're getting the play in, but I don't think they're gonna do too much. They might get that in one of the 8th or 7th seed. That'll be cool if they can do that. I mean they're at 500 right now, so they can definitely make a run at it if Steph is healthy enough. But we'll see if they can get in there and make some noise and get a matchup against Memphis, because I think the Warriors are a bad matchup for Memphis because they got so many shooters that they can't account for. And if if the Warriors are knocking down shots, it's going to be a problem for Memphis. So it'll be interesting to see, if they can put something together. But I think after that, then all the other West teams are going to be too much for them because they're more veteran teams and they can defend them, especially if they come across the Clippers, teams that actually got a lot of wings that can take away a lot of those 3-point shots. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting if they can make a repeat run late in the season. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I got my Sonics jersey on, even though who knows when we're gonna get another team. But I'm looking forward to. I'm always gonna rep my my home team. It's been my team since I was a kid. Even though I kind of after they took the team away from us, I went to the Spurs and I rocked with them for a second. That's why I'm a Kawhi fan because the Spurs and the Raptors are my other two favorite teams. And he played for both of those teams, and that's where we at. As far as I'm always gonna rock with him wherever he goes. So it's gonna be So but at the end of the day, it's always Sonics for life. Just to keep it all the way 100. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this second half of the season plays out. I'm really excited, and I'm be tuned in. I hope you guys are tuned in. I hope that you guys, when you guys watch this video, you guys just show me some love, give me a subscribe or a like or whatever. Just let me know that you guys are tuned in and locked in with what what I'm about to be doing in the future, now and in the future. I'm looking forward to some of the things I got going as far as just as far as just content and in music. I'm gonna start putting out some music on my page, some of my new music, and also kind of working on my old music and kind of just putting that out on YouTube. Just to get some action going. It's gonna be exciting year overall. I'm trying to just celebrate myself as far as all the music I've done over the years, and I've kept a lot of it on SoundCloud. but now I'm about to start kind of reworking it and retweaking it to where it's clean and YouTube friendly. And then also I'm gonna put a couple of projects out. I mean, I got a project coming out in April that I've been working on. It's an instrumental. I'm doing. It's gonna be pretty nice. I'm gonna kind of give the people what they want for this one. A lot of times I kind of experiment and do different types of sounds and stuff like that. But for this one, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna get back to the basics and really do my thing. So I'm excited about that project. And then I got a project I'm gonna work on in the summer. Once I get my plan right, I'm gonna work on something in the summer. I'm gonna be locked in to to do something big toward going into the end of the year. So yeah, it's gonna be a big year for me music wise. Big year for me content wise. We're gonna talk about different things besides sports. Just life goals, life content. Just a lot of different things. I'm excited to get deep into. So, but anyway, I'm gonna leave the video off it here, and yeah, just like I said, just send me a like. Let me know you rock with me. Let me to put some comments in. Let me know what you think. What I can do better. Because I'm still work in progress as far as just the streaming, podcasting. Just put myself out there type of thing. That's what it's gonna be. I'm gonna try to be as authentic as possible. I'm not gonna be here trying to be Hollywood and doing extra stuff, just try to get your attention, get your views. I'm just gonna keep it raw, keep it real. We're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna lay it down like that and keep it 100 at all times. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Everybody, you guys have a good night. I hope you guys enjoy the content.